Hello friends, this is Viraj and today what we will be doing is we will be starting the course with respect to NCERTs from the point of view of UPSC examination. Alright, from the point of view of UPSC examination. Basically, you have always heard why NCERTs are important. Everyone says this thing, toppers, coaching institutes, seniors, everyone says ki read NCERTs, go through NCERTs. But why specifically NCERTs are important, that is important to be known. Okay. So we will first look into that. So our focus of our discussion today is why is it so that NCERTs are important. Okay. Because without knowing the motivation, without letting yourself to be known कि why I am reading a specific text, it will not be beneficial to you. You will not be able to internalize that information. Alright, you will not be able to internalize that information. You will obviously not be able to use that information for the purpose of its objective. ठीक है, पता ही नहीं है कि why this has to be read. What will happen is you will go through it, you will give a blind reading, and that blind reading basically will not help you. It will basically not help you. So it is therefore important to first and foremost know the purpose of why we are addressing a particular course of action. So why? Then we have to also look into how NCERTs are to be studied. ठीक है, how they are to be studied. And last but not the least, how to create a bridge between NCERTs and advanced books. देखो, the preparation of UPSC starts with NCERTs, but it does not remain confined to NCERTs. Alright, NCERTs are just starting points. You have to use them as trampolines to get to the next level. So how that particular bridge can be built, that is between NCERTs, between what you are reading, your beginner stage ka material and the advanced stage ka material. How that bridge can be made, because everything that is written in NCERTs in itself will not provide you that push. So how to create that push, how to generate that information, how to generate that attitude which will help you in reaching the next level, that is also important to be known. So first we will address these 3 points, and then what we will do is we will go through important concept, the most important concept in fact of this whole course of polity from NCERT point of view, and that is what is constitution. चलो पहले देखते हैं why is it important to read NCERTs or go through NCERTs. First and foremost, remember, NCERTs are the books that are written in the simplest form with great conceptual clarity. This is the most important point basically. Okay, this is the most important point, and here you need to score in. If you look into the prelims paper of this year, that is 2023, or even if you look into the mains paper of the last 2 or 3 years, even prelims papers of last 2 or 3 years, what students are been saying and what I have been listening from the students is that the paper was difficult because it was factual. Alright, because it was factual. No, my friends, the paper was not factual. The paper was conceptual. UPSC is right now digging into and is interested in understanding whether you can get to the core of the concept or not. Alright, whether you can reach the core of the concept or not. If that is not the scenario, if you are in any way not able to reach the core of the question, and if you are not able to in a way understand what a particular concept means, you are bound to lose marks. Also, if you are not aware, keep prelims aside for a few seconds. It is important, but छोड़ो, थोड़ी देर के लिए side में रख दो. If you are not able to have a deep rooted knowledge in the concepts, what will happen is you will not be able to give that depth to your answer in mains examination. That clarity in your writing will never come, which is required for the purpose of clearing mains. For example, if I ask you what is equality, most of you have an idea about equality, alright, but that idea of equality is not enough for any one of you to write a conceptually good answer, to write a conceptually deep-rooted answer. Any book we read, apart from NCERT, with respect to polity, be it Lakshmikant, be it D.D. Basu, be it any book, they do not get into what is equality per se. Alright, what they do is they talk about equality from the point of view of Indian Constitution, which is important, which is very important. Okay? But for the term of equality to reach Indian Constitution, that term first and foremost has to be understood. That term itself was originated somewhere, it has evolved in some way, and therefore we know it through Indian Constitution in a particular dimension, right? So you have to first and foremost pick up that term, understand that term, and once you understand that term, then you can go ahead and pinpoint it. कि भाई ठीक है, this is equality, this is the overall meaning of equality, and this is how Indian Constitution recognizes equality. This is in a way a wholesome definition of equality, if I may say so, and from that wholesome definition of equality, this dimension of equality is accepted by Indian Constitution. Okay? So unless you don't understand what equality in wholesome way means, you don't understand its different aspects, its different dimensions, difficult for you. Alright, it is very difficult for you to in any other way keep tack with this particular concept, and to write better answers. And as I said, prelims में तो और ज़्यादा important, because prelims में now they are directly focusing on concepts, and at the core of the concept, you don't just have to have an idea of what that concept means, you should actually know what that concept means. And this work is wonderfully done by NCERTs. This work is very well done by the NCERTs. Second thing is that it in a way gives you the glimpse of what you will be studying. It gives you a glimpse of what you will be studying in a larger way. Okay? So as again, let us take an example of equality. So what NCERT has done is, it has first and foremost made you understand what is equality. Okay? Then what it has done is, it has connected you to what equality means in Indian society and what are its dimensions in the Constitution. It does not talk in detail, it does not talk about case laws, it does not talk about what Supreme Court meant, it does not talk about what was the debate in Constituent Assembly, right? But it takes you there. It takes you to the gate of a widened horizon. Jahan se, what you can do is, you can expect what all you will be learning in the advanced books. What all will be coming to you as part of the syllabus of studying UPSC. Alright. One more thing that I like about NCERTs, and that you will also appreciate with time, is clarity of language. Clarity of language. And this is important not only from the point of view of reading and understanding concept, but also for some other thing, and that is writing. Dekho, you write as well as you read, or your writing in a way reflects what you read. Okay? Your writing in a way reflects what you read. So if you have a particular literature to be read, you will notice the way in which that literature is drafted, the way in which that literature is written, same is the way in which you over the period of time develop your writing habits. Alright, and this is something which I regard very important. Your writing habits have to be in the way in which more or less NCERT drafts its document. I am not saying copy them, I am not saying ki aisa it should be exactly as NCERT it is difficult to achieve. But then it will reflect in your writing. What it will do is, it will make your writing clear with respect to how to make a particular concept to be understood. Dekho, answer writing is nothing but a small piece of literature. Answers are small piece of literature it is. And what do you expect from a piece of literature? You expect the person who is reading it to understand what you have wrote. You expect the person who is reading it to understand what you have wrote. And that can only happen if you write it in a lucid manner. And that manner will come to you if you ingrain yourself in the material of NCERT. You don't need to copy it as such. The more you get interested in it, the more you focus on it, the more you concentrate on it, it will be reflected. But your efforts should be focused, and they should be, in a way, they should be honest efforts to read it. If you just go through NCERT considering that these are just school books, at one point of time I have read them, even if you were in state boards, so there is more or less similarity between what is written in state board books and NCERT books. So if you consider them to be school books, and if you consider them to be just a piece of writing which you had read at a particular point of time and scored marks, you had got 80%, so then you will actually not be able to take that leap. Reading of NCERTs therefore has to focus on these three aspects. Focus on the concepts, focus on the concepts, allow yourself to take a glimpse of what will be coming ahead. Alright, and slowly and steadily get inculcated into the way in which NCERT writes. That is simple, precise, effective. ठीक है? Simple, precise, effective. That's it. More than this, I don't think you will be expected to deliver as aspirants. UPSC also knows that you are in a way getting molded for something, that is government service. You are getting molded for government service. You are not already there. So UPSC's expectations from you is also basic, and therefore enrooting yourself in the basic books or in the basic terms is very, very necessary, my friends. Okay? It is very, very necessary. Itna kar lo. If you stick to this particular plan of action, I don't think as such there will be a problem for you all. I don't think as such you will be in a way tussling with the problem of how to get into conceptual clarity and then delivering it on the paper. And my friends, writing is very important. Let me tell you it at the outset. Writing is very important. Writing is important. I know most of you have just started your preparation, but my friends, start writing. ठीक है, we will be providing you with some assignments ना, वो assignments आप अच्छे से use करो. That is very important. Writing is important because ultimately it is your paper that is meeting UPSC. It is not you who is meeting UPSC. And if your paper is meeting UPSC, then basically it is representing you, and it should represent you in the best possible way. ऐसा नहीं है कि you have read everything, your mind, your heart is filled with content, the best content of polity that has ever been written, and then you are not able to deliver it. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. And if that happens, it will be very poor, because you then, my friends, will not be able to qualify. You, my friends, will not be able to get into the position that you want to be, that is becoming an IAS or IFS or IPS officer. Okay? So these three things you have to take, these three things you have to fully take under your control. Then the question arises how to do it. Then the question arises how to study NCERTs. First and foremost, go for a rapid read. Now this is not only confined to NCERTs but your overall preparation. Okay, this is not only confined to NCERTs but your overall preparation. First reading has to be rapid reading. Okay, just go through what is written in the books. Yes, sometimes back I did say conceptual clarity. I'm coming to that. So first reading has to be a rapid reading. Just go through what has been written in NCERTs and whatever notes we have provided to you. Dekho, the notes that we provide to you are supplementary to what has been written in NCERTs, are supplementary to what is written in the NCERTs. They, my friends, cannot take place in your study pattern of NCERTs themselves. NCERTs padna hai, and then you have to go through the notes. Notes will make your job easier. Notes though cannot replace NCERTs themselves. Why is rapid reading necessary? Rapid reading is necessary for the purpose of understanding the landscape of subject. Any subject it may be. Alright, any subject it may be. Once you go rapid reading, then you will know कि भाई इस बुक से what horizon am I considering, or what horizon or what length and breadth I will take under consideration, what length and breadth has to be brought under my conception. That is why rapid reading is important. So rapid reading के साथ क्या होगा ना, what will happen is you as the first instance will know how far you have to spread yourself, at least with respect to that particular book. So now when you read NCERTs, what will obviously happen is you will know in the first reading itself, कि भाई what is the territory that I have to cover. It will give you an overlook, an aerial look, and therefore prepare you in a better way for your second reading, which has to be then focused on conceptual clarity. It will be your second reading that will be based on your conceptual clarity. Alright, but for coming to this, for the purpose of coming to this, you have to understand where your subject wants to take you. Alright, what is the area or territory of your subject? An aerial view is important, and then you have to get into the territory itself. You have to know in that territory where a particular place is situated and how that place is important to the territory. Alright, that is the importance of conceptual clarity. When you get into conceptual clarity, or when you understand conceptual clarity, then you will be able to move ahead. Then actually what will happen is your knowledge base will increase. Then actually what will happen is your knowledge base will be ready for the purpose of receiving the information which will help you in clearing the UPSC examination. How to do it? How to focus on conceptual clarity? Dekho, there are 2-3 things. First and foremost, obviously we are there to help you. We have a lecture series which you are attending that will clarify to a large extent what a particular term or what a particular term in the syllabus of a particular subject is. For example, जैसे मैंने बोला equality. Alright, we are there to help you. I will explain it to you what equality is. I will explain it to you how equality is important and what dimension of equality is considered in the Indian Constitution, and because of that dimension what impact is created in the society. That I will explain it to you. So lectures is part of it. Lectures are part of it. Then we have reading. Rapid reading हो गया. Now we come to a more focused reading. ठीक है? In this part, what you will have to do is, what your work will be, is to connect what has been talked about or discussed about in the lecture with the textual part. ठीक है? जो टेक्स्ट बुक में दिया हुआ है, the things that are written in the text book, you have to connect it to whatever has been spoken. And reading has to be such that it will help you to generate certain keywords through which you can prepare your own notes. देखो, first reading is rapid reading. I don't advise people to make notes in the first reading itself, because first understand where the subject wants to take you. But once you have got that, then take a precise effort, then take a focused effort into how a particular concept, after being understood in the lectures and after being read in the textbook, could be revised. ठीक है, could be revised. So यहाँ पे we bring in one more aspect or element, that is revision. First will lead to the second. You have to take the help for the purpose of understanding. देखो, first reading if you do without lectures, it is okay. But second reading, I want you to listen to the lectures first and then read the text. And while reading the text, start connecting what was talked about in the lecture and what is written in the text. Second thing, what I also want you to do is, after you have connected these things, after you have connected what has been said in the class and what has been written, after you have cleared your conceptual issues, once the term is understood by you, then what you have to do is, you have to prepare yourself with keywords that will help you in revision. You have to make notes of what you read. Why are notes important? Notes are important for revision. Notes are also important because they will in a way mold your ideas. They will in a way crystallize your ideas. They will in a way show you the path further. कि भाई आगे क्या करना है. ठीक है? Once that notes are made, what they will do is, they will show you the path further. They will help you in knowing what to expect in the advanced book. You reach a certain level now. Once you read, make notes, go through that notes, then you will start expecting कि भाई आगे क्या करना है. What will happen at the next stage. Alright, and then the next stage wala books, या advanced book, you can receive it with greater ease. So when we talk about focus on concept, it is not only with respect to what you are able to do with your book in your hand. It is also about how you pay attention to the delivery of the lectures, how you get sorted with respect to connecting the concept in the lectures and in the book, and third is how you use the book for the purpose of making notes which will further clarify your concepts and help in revision. So these three are the pillars on which your conceptual understanding is based. One more thing, asking doubts, very important. Asking doubts again is very important, okay? And it is part of conceptual clarity. Don't consider me to be Dr. Ambedkar, don't consider me to be Socrates, or for that matter any other faculty. We are humans like you. It may happen that some term or some sentence which I may use in the delivery of my lecture, it will create an ambiguity, it will create some vagueness, it may not get communicated to the way in which I intend to do. It may not simplify your view towards a particular term. Alright, or I may not be able to interlink two concepts in the way in which I wanted to do it and demonstrate it to you. For example, if I wanted to interlink the concept of equality and liberty, okay, very basic and very important concepts in Indian polity, also very important from the point of view of UPSC examination. Now, in the lecture, I will be connecting, in the further lectures, I will be connecting these two concepts, but it may happen that I am not able to deliver you the way in which I expect you to receive the concept. It may happen, okay? So then it is your duty to let the faculty know, or let me, with respect to polity, let me know where I could have helped you, where my help would have sufficed you, or where my help could take you to the position where the clarity is obtained by you. So conceptual clarity mein, these are the three pillars, no doubt about it. But asking doubts is also something that you need to do, and you need to do it without fear, or without feeling ki some perception will be built with respect to you in the mind of faculty. We don't mind answering your doubts. It is our job to answer your doubts. Okay? And doubts can be with respect to anything, the basic of basic things. In fact, that is the most important. Apple tree se kyun gira was a stupid question to the whole world except one man who revolutionized the subject of physics. Okay? Now coming to how a bridge has to be built between what you are studying and where to go. Alright, where you have to go? You have to go to the next level, na? Advanced books ho gayi, theek hai, and ultimately clearing the UPSC ho gaya. So again, let us come to something very basic. I hope you have noted down what I have written. If not, do it. Otherwise, you rewind karke dekh lo. Once this session is available to you on your portal. Okay. Now let us consider how to bridge NCERTs with next level of preparation. How to bridge NCERTs with the next level of preparation. My friends, basically, why are we studying NCERT? Again, the question of why, but this is a different question. We are studying NCERTs for only one purpose, and that is clearing civil service examination. Clearing civil services. Not for knowledge, not to become a Baba, nothing else. Okay? If you want to study Indian Constitution just for the purpose of getting knowledge, then you have two ways of doing so. Either enroll yourself into PhD, or read for the pleasure of reading, read for the pleasure of knowledge, as Socrates did, alright, or any other person would have done, any other intellectual would have done, okay, irrespective of what material gain you get from it. If you just want to study, if you just want to learn Indian Constitution, do it without taking on yourself the pressure of examination. Okay? Without taking on to yourself the pressure of examination. Chaliye. So civil services you have to clear. You want to clear civil services examination. Alright. And for that and that purpose only you are reading NCERT at the age of 20, 25, 26, 27, whatever it might be. So then there has to be an intent. There has to be an intent, and also the way. Intent to clear civil services. You have to therefore focus on NCERT books with the point of view of understanding the demand. Understanding the demand of exam. Bhai, you have read something. Will that automatically help you in writing the answers? No, it will not. No, it will not. देखो, just because I have read a particular book, ठीक है, I have read a particular book. Let us take for example Bipin Chandra. Just because I have read Bipin Chandra, does it mean that I can write answers that are being provided to me by UPSC? The answer is no. I'll tell you why the answer is no. The answer is no because Bipin Chandra basically can be read by any person. ठीक है, it can be read. Bipin Chandra basically can be read by multitude of personalities. For example, Bipin Chandra can be read by a person who is doing his PhD in Indian history. ठीक है, Bipin Chandra can be read by a person who is, a casual reader, who is reading just for the sake of fun, or who has the hobby of reading history. Bipin Chandra can be read by that person. And Bipin Chandra can also be read by someone who is preparing for UPSC from the point of view of clearing the exam, gaining marks in the subject of modern Indian history. Now, what is the difference? Different, of course, is the final objective. Difference, of course, is final objective. But to reach that objective, you have to take some necessary and focused steps. Now, if I read like a casual reader, I may get the fun. Yes, I will get the fun of reading. Why? Because it's a wonderful book. I will get the fun of reading that book. But will that fun translate into good answers? No. Why? Because I do not know what UPSC wants me to know from the questions that it asks. I do not know what UPSC wants me to know as an aspirant. And if I do not know that, of course, my focus will not be on those aspects. My focus will be on reading it. My focus will be on completion of the book. My focus will be on, doing it as fast as possible. Because खुद को भी थोड़ा सा मजा आता है ना, when you do a particular work when you do a particular work at a greater space. Efficiency हो या ना हो, that does not matter. Once you have, ticked it. Bipin Chandra, I had to read Bipin Chandra, tick. I have read Bipin Chandra. If that is your mental attitude, what will happen is, you will grasp what is written in the book, you will read what is written in the book, but you may not grasp the necessary information that UPSC wants you to be aware of. Alright. So the bridge that I am talking about now, the bridge that you have to build with NCERTs, that particular bridge starts with your pre-IQs or your previous year's questions. ठीक है, be it prelims or be it mains, both are necessary. Now NCERTs is something that will help in your prelims also and your mains also. It is not as if NCERTs can be specifically used for prelims or NCERTs can be specifically be used for your mains. They can be used for both, and they are being used for both. What intent you should have, or what mind, mental attitude you should have with respect to reading those books is important. Extremely important. ठीक है, it is extremely important. Hence I say, go through previous year's questions. You may find them intimidating. You may find them challenging. And if you do not find them intimidating, then you are not normal. ठीक है, UPSC questions on the first glance are scary. If you don't find them scary, then you are supernatural. Alright, then you are supernaturals, then you should join the team of Avengers. But normally you will find them intimidating. But still, what purpose they will service, they will show you the route. They will show you, this is the way in which concept is needed for me to be remembered. This is the way in which I have to gather information. These are the pieces of information that UPSC wants me to know. Suppose if there is a way in which NCERT is seeking seeking information from you with respect to again a concept of equality. All right. Now obviously the question will not be repeated in UPSC. Questions are never repeated. Okay. But what that piece of information that is the question, the previous year question will do is, it will basically help you in knowing what UPSC could ask or what will be the dimensions of the question if UPSC wants you to know something about another concept, for example justice. Okay, so because you now know on what pattern question has been asked with respect to equality, you now also know what UPSC might ask you with respect to justice. So now your knowledge base is ready, and your knowledge base is ready for the purpose of writing down the answer for UPSC. Okay. Another thing that you have to do for the purpose of bridging that gap is using current affairs. देखो करंट अफेयर्स का क्या है ना, why are current affairs important and why you have to relate what you are reading in NCERTs with newspaper. It is because over the period of time what we have seen is UPSC has this habit, especially in mains examination, of asking question on a particular provision in the polity section or in the constitution based on what has happened in current affairs. What has happened in current affairs on that particular topic. ठीक है, तो एक particular topic पे, for example, if there is a debate on justice, suppose there is a debate on gender justice, ठीक है, so you will read it in NCERT, how constitution in a way guarantees gender justice. But is that alone enough for you to come to the level where you can write good answer? No. You have to inculcate this concept that has been written in NCERT with what is written in newspaper. And if you are able to relate that, you are already on the way to receive knowledge from more advanced books. So this will bridge. This will again, what it will do, it will bridge the gap between you and the advanced book. If you directly go to the advanced book, then you will find it a bit difficult. Then settling in that concept will be difficult for you. But if you know the basic concept and if you know what has been happening around that basic concept, then reading the advanced version of the concept and comprehending it and then writing it down in your answer will be much more easy. So newspaper have to be complemented with NCERTs. Alright, newspapers have to be complemented with your NCERTs. Okay. So this was an overall discussion with respect to why NCERT, how NCERTs, and how that bridge has to be, constructed between NCERTs and the advanced books. Alright, NCERTs and advanced books. Now what we will do is, now we will get into the first topic of today's discussion. First topic of today's discussion, and that is Constitution. Just give me a minute. All right. I hope all of this is clear to you. If there is anything, so this is my number. You can get back to me. If you have any doubts, you can come to me through official channel also. That is not a problem. But otherwise, if you have any doubts, if you have any issues, what you can do is you can connect to me. And basically, I will ask you to first reach out to me through WhatsApp or Telegram. And then if the need be, what we will do is we will connect on phone. So that is actually not such a big issue. We can do it. Alright, and we will do it. Don't worry. Chalo. Now let us move to constitution itself. What is this constitution? जिसका पढ़ाई आप लोगों को करना है, ठीक है? And why is it important? Not only from UPSC point of view, but overall why it is important? Why it is given such importance? Why it is given such importance? And what are some basic terms associated with the word constitution? ठीक है? What are some basic terms associated with the word constitution? Okay. So what basically is constitution? What basically is constitution? So constitution basically is a set of fundamental principles that govern a particular country. A set of fundamental principles that govern a particular country. ठीक है? It means how or on what principles, not how, on what principles governance of a particular country will be carried out. Governance of a particular country will be carried out. It is first and foremost that what comes in the definition of constitution. ठीक है? So India as a country believes in, say suppose, secularism. ठीक है? So government will act according to the principles of secularism. Who tells us that? It is the constitution which tells us that. Constitution tells us on what principle will the country survive, it will be governed and it will be sustained. कौन से वो मूलभूत ideas है? What are the ideas that are necessary? What are the ideas that are involved in the overall running of the country, in the overall existence of the country, is constitution at the first instance. ठीक है? The basic principles, the fundamental and basic principles based on which a government will govern a country, or a country will exist for that matter. ठीक है? A country will exist for that matter is what constitution is, first and foremost. Alright, first and foremost. Constitution is also the document. Constitution is also a document that creates coordination between different sections of either society or the government in itself. ठीक है? देखो, when we talk about a particular society or nation having peaceful existence, when we talk about a particular society or nation, being administered, what we also understand by it is it is not, what we also understand by it is कि ये सिर्फ एक लीनियर एफर्ट नहीं है, इट इज नॉट अ लीनियर एफर्ट, ठीक है. इट इज नॉट एज इफ एक्शन ऑफ वन पर्सन और वन बॉडी इन इटसेल्फ creates administration in the country. Alright, it is not as if that the action of a particular set of individuals or community in themselves create the situation where everything gets aligned. It is not like that. What happens is different power apparatus in the society, different institutions in the societies, different governmental organizations have to work with each other, have to coordinate with each other. There have to be certain rules for those coordination. There have to be certain basic, there have to be certain basic understandings between different organs of the country, different machineries of the government, for the purpose of achieving the objective, for the purpose of achieving the final objective of giving good governance to the country. कहाँ से आते हैं वो principles? What is the origin of those principles? What is the origin of that particular coordinated effort? That particular coordinated effort that brings effectiveness, that basically brings effectiveness to the administration of the country. From where does it come? So it is the constitution. Constitution, in a way provides for the coordination. Constitution basically provides for those principles and those ways in which coordination can be effectively implemented for the purpose of overall administration of the country. Alright, for the purpose of overall administration of the country, for the purpose of different organs of the government and different organs or different institutions within the country to come and complement each other. What is the third importance of constitution, or what is the third aspect of constitution? The third aspect of constitution basically is limiting. Okay? Limiting. Now I would say this basically is the most important aspect also. Alright, this basically is the most important aspect also. When you talk about the constitution, what you are speaking about is the book. It may be written or it may be unwritten. We'll talk about that. Okay, we'll talk about that in some time. When you talk about constitution, you're basically talking about a book which in a way provides for what government, listen to me carefully, cannot do. Okay, now let me explain this to you, because this idea is very important, and based on this the questions have been asked. Let us go, say 500 years ago. In India itself or in any other part of the world, the same thing happened, but let us take into consideration India. So 500 years ago, was there any constitution? Was there any constitution 500 years ago? Absolutely not. Okay? What happened 500 years ago was, there was one Zilelahi or a Maharaja Dhiraj, who in itself would be the embodiment of everything. It was his wish to do what he liked or disliked. Alright. if he wanted tomorrow to get into the house of someone and take away his private property, so was not this his power to do so? Yes, it was his power. If he tomorrow wanted to visit someone's house and have dinner without the person wanting him to be invited, without the person enjoying the Maharaja's company, could the Maharaja do it? Yes. Why he could do it? Because basically there was no limit to his power. Alright, there was no system of constitution or constitutionalism, and because there was no system of constitution or constitutionalism, the person who administered the country had no limit to his power. He was the reflection or symbol of God. And what does God do? God does whatever he wants to do. So there was nothing to bind or limit the actions of the monarch or the administrator. Then what happened? Then modern ideas started generating. And one of those modern ideas was the idea of liberalism. The idea of liberalism, about which we will discuss in the forthcoming lecture. What is liberalism basically? Liberalism basically means that there should be no interference in the way in which I live my life. Okay? There should be no interference in the way in which I live my life or I lead my life. So now what happened? There was conflict in the ideas of liberalism that was more and more accepted by the people, and the ideas of a monarch who will do whatever he wanted to. Alright, he will do whatever he wanted to, when he wanted to, and how he wanted to. That was completely up to him. मुझे जो चाहिए वो मैं करेगा. So these two ideas contradicted each other. But now, because the idea of liberalism was getting more powerful and was being more and more accepted, the idea of a monarch or an administrator with unlimited power started shrinking. And therefore what also happened was the idea of limited government got established. That is, government can only do certain things which will help it in regulating the society. Government does not have access to the life of citizens at the rate at which citizens cannot control it. So government cannot have undue influence in my life. Yes, if I tomorrow commit a crime, government has full right to arrest me. Alright, government has full right to arrest me. But tomorrow a government official cannot come to my home uninvited and take away a painting that has been, take away a painting that has been displayed by me for my leisure. वो painting वहाँ पे क्यों है? Because I like it. Alright, I like it, I have paid for it, it will be on my wall. Tomorrow a government official cannot come to my place and take away that painting without reason. 500 years ago this would happen. This could easily happen. Why? Because at that time we lived in the time of unlimited government. We lived in the time of the government which was not bound by constitution. What constitution has done today? Constitution today has set a boundary of where the government's interference or government's mingling with the people stops. What it has done is, it has created something called as limited government. It has created something called as limited government. Alright. Because liberalism was on the rise, because my will to live as I want to was on the rise, the concept of unlimited government shrunk. And because the concept of unlimited government shrunk, what we today have is limited form of government. And this shrinkage was caused by the idea that there is a set of principles which will not allow government to do whatever it wants. ठीक है? Set of ideas, set of principles that inform the government what you cannot do. Can the constitution state what it can do? देखो, what we have focused on is what government cannot do. What government cannot do. Can the constitution focus on what can be done? Absolutely it can do it. In fact, Indian constitution does it. Alright, Indian constitution does it. We will talk about it. Indian constitution बोलता है ना कि government has to give education to all children who are between the age of 6 and 14. Indian constitution says that ना. Indian constitution says that ना. ठीक है? तो because Indian constitution says that, government is duty bound to do something. What we have seen till now is what government cannot do. But there are also aspects जिसमें government has to do something because it is written in the constitution. But remember, this is the second stage of understanding constitution. Alright, this is the second stage of understanding what the utility of the constitution is. If we just talk about constitution as a bare minimum set of ideas, then the first thing that comes to the mind is creating a limited government, telling the government that what it cannot do. That is the first step of understanding what is the constitution. Second step mein you can bring in what government has to do for the people can also be mentioned. ठीक है? What government can do for the people can also be mentioned. But the bare minimum is what government cannot do. Alright, what government can't do. Therefore, constitution creates a limited government. In any country, be it any country that has constitution, also has limited government. ठीक है? Any country that has constitution also has limited government. That means even suppose the country is dictatorial. Let us consider Iraq of Saddam Hussein. ठीक है? Iraq of Saddam Hussein or Uganda of Idi Amin. These were two brutal dictators. Or Germany of Hitler. ठीक है? On paper, what we had was a constitution. In theory, what we had was देखो, on paper what we had was the constitution. Even in Iraq, on paper what they had was constitution. The constitution basically said this is the things that state can do and these are the things that state cannot do. On paper, even the constitution of Iraq protected people from unnecessary prosecution. Alright. But was it something that was implemented? No. What I am saying is, any country that has constitution, theoretically it has limited government. Theoretically. In reality, whether limited government is present or not, that is a different thing. But theoretically, having a constitution means your government is limited government. So as I said, in Iraqian constitution also during the time of Saddam Hussein, there was protection against unnecessary arrest. Unnecessary arrest, illegal arrest, there was protection. But then in reality, only those people were prosecuted whom Saddam Hussein felt was necessary to be prosecuted. If there was some political opponent, even if he has not committed any crime, Saddam Hussein could get that person prosecuted. Alright. So he had all the powers that will amount to a person who is ruling with unlimited authority. He had those powers. But at least theoretically, because Iraq had the constitution, at least theoretically, because Iraq had the constitution, what also happened is Iraq had a limited government, theoretically. ठीक है, theoretically, not in reality, theoretically. So theoretically, wherever there is constitution, what we also have is limited government. ठीक है. So these are the three aspects of constitution. It is set of fundamental principles, it coordinates between different aspects or different institutions of society and government, and last but not the least, in fact the most important, that constitution is something that limits the government, that creates limited government. Is Indian government limited? Absolutely. Indian government is also limited. ठीक है. Is the Chinese government limited? It is limited, theoretically. We'll come to the next arena where we will discuss something called as constitutionalism. There we will look into the reality aspect and the reality wala aspect and theoretical wala aspect. ठीक है. Why, despite some countries having constitution, they do not follow something called as constitutionalism. We will look into it. Just give me some time. We will look into it. Chalo, let's move ahead. Let's now move ahead. So we are done with respect to what is constitution. We are done with respect to what is constitution. We are done with respect to, just give me a minute. What is constitution is done now. We have in a way also looked into functions of constitution. ठीक है. तो limited government provide करना is the function of constitution. Coordination is the function of constitution. What other aspects can you consider to be part of functions of constitution? ठीक है. पहला दो तो we saw it while looking into the meaning of constitution itself. Looking into the meaning of constitution itself, what did we see? We looked into the way in which it coordinates different organs of the government or different organs of the society, and it limits the government. Other than that, what are the functions? What are the functions? Constitution, if you look into it now, it tells you or it provides also, provides to hai hi, it provides and tells source of power that the government gets. ठीक है. It will tell you from where the government gets its source of power. For example, Indian Constitution tells us who is the source of power with respect to governance of this country. It is the people of India. ठीक है. It is the people of India. It tells you who in reality is in charge of decision making. It is people of India. ठीक है. Who in reality is the fuel with which the government perform its function. It is the desire of the people of India. तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बताता है ना कि भाई आप क्या कर सकते. आप जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बेसिकली टेल्स यू, क्या बताता है वो? इट टेल्स यू कि जो गवर्नमेंट कर रही है वो काम करने के लिए उसके पास स्ट्रेंथ कहां से आता है. ठीक है. तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विल टेल यू द सोर्स फ्रॉम विच द पावर arises, which is used for the purpose of governance of the country. Not only it tells you the source, but it also provides government with that power. ठीक है. People have given government the power, but what is the linkage between the power of people and the power the people have given and power that is received by the government? ठीक है, तो लोग पावर देते हैं, गवर्नमेंट पावर एक्सरसाइज करता है. पीपल प्रोवाइड द पावर, गवर्नमेंट एक्सरसाइजेस द पावर. बट वेयर डज द ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन टेक प्लेस? Where does the transformation takes place? Where it is clear, where is it clearly written or clearly understood, the power that is coming from the people is utilized by the government? It is the constitution. It is the constitution. If tomorrow someone asks the government, who gave you the right to exercise the power of people? Then where will the government point towards? It will point towards the constitution. So it tells you the source and also it provides you with the source, or it connects you with the source, because of which power can be exercised by the government, because of which power can be exercised by the government. ठीक है. It also provides for the structure of government. For example, India is a parliamentary form of government. Alright, it is a parliamentary form of democracy. India is parliamentary form of democracy because our founding fathers, while they wrote down the constitution, wanted us to be parliamentary form. ठीक है. Tomorrow if suppose someone rises up and says India should be presidential form, can it happen? No, it cannot happen. It cannot happen. Tomorrow suppose whoever the prime minister of the country may be, we will not talk about politics, we will talk about polity, not about politics. So tomorrow if the case arises as to the prime minister of the country decides to convert India into the presidential form of government, can he do it? No, he cannot do it. He cannot do it. He cannot do it because constitution has already told you what structure of the government or what form of the government India will have. And it is the work of government to follow that structure or to mold itself in the structure provided by the constitution, not to create structure of its own interest or of its own outlook. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. So constitution not only provides the source or tells the source and connects the constitution to the source, it also tells government how it should be structured. If the constitution says Indian government is of parliamentary form, so Indian government will have to be parliamentary form, and it has to structure itself in parliamentary form, and it has to function itself as a parliamentary form of government. Okay, if it does not do so, then obviously it is doing an act that is unconstitutional. That is unconstitutional. Okay. Next what you can say? Constitution provides us with certain rights. This you can connect to the limitations. Okay, this you can connect to the limitations, and about rights we will talk in detail. Even our constitution has done that. Now, what the constitution has done? Constitution has provided for certain fundamental rights. Why are those fundamental rights necessary? Fundamental rights are necessary so that a person is able to reach a minimum level of intellect. देखो, sustaining democracy is not easy. And who sustains democracy? It is the people. I'll give you an historical quote. When Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of America, was coming out of the Liberty Hall. Liberty Hall was basically the building in which the American Constitution was written. Alright, at that point of time, a woman asked Benjamin Franklin what type of government are you giving us? Benjamin Franklin replied, we are giving you a democratic republican form of government if you can keep it. Alright, if you can keep it. That means sustenance of democracy, preservation of democracy has to be done by people. And people, to get to that level of intellect, they require certain rights. They require to develop themselves now. If I have to protect certain aspects, then I have to be strong enough to protect that aspects. And when it comes to democracy, preserving it, sustaining it, and growing the idea of democracy is based on the intellect of the people, the way in which they receive the idea of democracy and other ideas that help in sustenance of democracy. Now this can happen only if they are guaranteed certain rights. They are guaranteed certain rights. What these rights will do is, these rights will expose them to different ideas, to different intellectual concepts, and therefore their intellectual growth, their mental growth will take place. And through their mental growth, their intellectual growth, what will get translated is a society that carries forward the democracy that it had received. The generation which can carry forward democracy that it has received. So it is the constitution that provides rights, and then it becomes the duty of the people through that rights to protect the values that are provided to them by the constitution. Alright, constitution also induces the feeling of oneness. It induces the feeling of national identity. It induces the feeling of national identity. Basically, what do we see is people are divided into, in any country it might be, people are divided into different communities based on religion, based on race, based on ethnicity, based on their linguistics. Okay? The language that they use. Still, there is an idea, na? For example, in India, we are such a diverse country. Okay? But still, we live with each other in peace. Right? We live with each other with the feeling of being united. We live with each other with a common identity. For example, I am from Maharashtra. I am Maharashtrian. Some of you might be from South India. Some of you might be from Northeast. Some of you might be from Kashmir. Okay? So you have an identity that in a way separates me from you. I am a Maharashtrian, you are a Kashmiri. So that identity is different. Okay? That identity creates a difference between me and you. Right? But then there is another identity that overcomes this difference, and that is the identity of national identity. That identity is of nationality. You and me are different because we belong to different areas, but you and me are similar because we believe India to be our nation. Okay? You and me are different because we belong to different areas, but you and me are similar because we belong to the same nation. And the idea of you and me being similar because we belong to a nation called India is stronger than the difference between us because of our diversities. Alright, and who provides you with the acknowledgement of that identity? It is the constitution. It is the constitution. ठीक है? For thousands of years we have been identifying that area between Himalayas and the Indian Ocean is one. Area between Himalayas and Indian Ocean is one. ठीक है? But when this idea got engrossed, internalized and strengthened, when did this idea get engrossed, internalized and strengthened? When Constitution of India said, we the people of India. Alright, it was after coming of the Constitution, what happened? We got a guarantee from the Constitution that we as a nation are one. We got something in return ना कि भाई हम लोग सब लोग एक है, all of us are one. That idea was built in, or that idea strengthened only after coming of the Constitution. India का छोड़ दो. India is an example of an ancient civilization, a civilization which for thousands of years feels connected people wise when it comes to diversities. So even when there have been diversities in India, what we have seen is people of India more or less acknowledging themselves as India. Even before this one country was produced. Okay? Even before that, people between Himalayas and Indian Ocean considered themselves to be sort of related to each other. So India का छोड़ दो. Let us take an example of Pakistan. ठीक है? Let us take an example of Pakistan. Pakistan as an idea was very new. Alright, Pakistan as an idea was very new. It is the idea of last century. But then it was created, partition of India happened and Pakistan was created. When Pakistan got created, it was the constitution of Pakistan that gave them that identity that you are Pakistanis. Alright, that created a situation where a Sindhi and a Punjabi living in Pakistan could relate to each other. They were bound to each other. A Sindhi and a Punjabi became bound to each other. That idea of national identity and that idea of oneness is provided by Constitution. Constitution, what does it do? It in a way reflects the mental intention of oneness. ठीक है? So because you have come together and formed a nation, Constitution says कि now this is your national identity and therefore now you are despite your diversities and differences one people. Alright, you are one people. So that is another function of the Constitution itself. That is another function performed by the Constitution itself. Okay. Just give me 2 minutes, guys. Let me have a breather and we will start again. Don't worry. Harish. Okay. Let me have some water, guys. If there are any doubts, as I told you, you can obviously contact me. I am there to help you. ठीक है, I have already provided my number. कोई अगर डाउट हो तो मेरे तक पहुँचो, reach out to me. It is my endeavor to help you out. It is completely my endeavor to help you out. Thank you so much. Now let us go to the next important topic, that is constitutionalism. Constitutionalism. What is constitutionalism? ठीक है, constitutionalism basically is, ठीक है, constitutionalism basically is कि whatever you are talking in theory, are you the same in reality? That is basically what constitutionalism is with respect to polity. कहनी और कथनी दोनों सेम ही है, अलग है. So what you preach, is it actually what you practice with respect to constitution? If yes, then you are following something called as constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is basically appreciating the values of constitution. Alright, constitutionalism is basically appreciating the values of Indian constitution. Appreciating the values of Indian constitution. Not Indian constitution, constitution in general. Taken. We took the example of Iraq. We took the example of China. Okay? We took the example of Iraq. We took the example of China. Now when it comes to Iraq and China, what do we see? We see, चलो इराक का ही ले लेते हैं. Let us take the example of Iraq during the Saddam era. Alright. So in that case, what we saw was Iraq having a constitution. Alright. And Iraq having a limited government. Iraq having a constitution, Iraq having a limited government. That basically meant कि Saddam Hussein, at least in theory, could not do whatever he intended to do. ठीक है? So theory wise it meant Saddam Hussein could not do whatever he intended to do. Done. But in reality, that was not the case. As we know, in reality that was not the case. ठीक है? So there was constitution in Iraq, but there was no constitutionalism in Iraq. There was no appreciation of the values, or there was no execution of the values which were written down in the constitution. That basically is constitutionalism, and you have to use this term in your answers as much as possible. Not blindly, of course, but you have to use this term. Why? It will give an extra punch to your answers. Alright, it will basically give an extra punch to your answers. ठीक है? आ जाओ. Let us now look into the types of constitution. ठीक है? Very important again. Types of constitution. Very important topic. Okay. Basically, if you start with the outset, and if you want to classify constitutions, then you will have two types of constitutions. One is the written constitution, and other is unwritten constitution. What is the written? What is the difference between written and unwritten constitution? If we look into it from example point of view, then it will be easy. India is an example of written constitution. United States is an example of written constitution. In fact, India borrowed the idea of having a written constitution from United States itself. Taken. Unwritten constitution, the most important example is United Kingdom. देखो, written or unwritten क्या है? So while looking into what is constitution, what did we see? What did we discuss? Constitution basically is set of fundamental principles. ठीक है? Set of fundamental principles. And then we also saw what are the functions of constitution. So when we say constitution is set of fundamental principles, now that fundamental principles can be written or unwritten. They can be written or unwritten. ठीक है? You can accept certain principles. Even when you have not written them down. Even when you have not written them down in a book, or you have not compiled them in a book. It is not being said that constitution has to be brought down to a book. It has to be compiled in a particular book. It has never been said. Constitution के साथ, with constitution, what do we associate? We associate principle or ideas. So those principle or ideas can be unwritten also, na? Those principles or ideas can be something that you know, but you have not put them down on paper. Alright. So in those circumstances where ideas of governance, fundamental principles with which the country is sustained are realized by the people, but they are not compiled into a single book or a single work, what do we say? We have an unwritten constitution. Where can you find reference to these ideas? You can find reference to the ideas in the Acts of Parliament. And decisions of courts. ठीक है? What Parliament will do? देखो, for example, Indian Constitution में it is specifically written. So we have a book that is called as Constitution of India, and in that book it is specifically written that you cannot be arrested without reason. ठीक है? You cannot be arrested without reason. It is written specifically, right? In Britain, there are laws which prohibit you from getting arrested without reason. There are laws which prohibit you from getting arrested without reason. But that particular principle is not being made part of a particular document, that is constitution. तो सारे जो basic principles है ना, सारे fundamental principles है ना, that are associated with constitutional ideas in Britain, they are not brought together and compiled in a single page, in a single book. What has happened is different laws have been created by Parliament of Britain to provide force to those particular ideas. For example, as I told you, in India you cannot be arrested without reason. Why? Because it is specifically written in the constitution. It is not therefore the case that in Britain you can be arrested without any reason. ठीक है? Just because they do not have something called as written constitution. This particular idea that I cannot be arrested without reason is ingrained in the British people. And government also gives force to it. How? By providing a separate law on it. The only thing is that each and every idea of theirs, they have a law for it. Alright, they will have a law for it. Other thing is that what a particular principle means and whether that principle can be effectively implemented in Britain or not, who takes that decision? Court. Court will take that decision. For example, if I have been arrested, okay, and if the court says, suppose, let us go back to the start of the example. Suppose I am being arrested, okay, there is no law in Britain which specifies that I cannot be arrested without a specific reason. Okay, there is no such law in Britain, but I am being arrested. When I am made to stand in the court, and if police are not able to specify what is the reason for my arrest, most probably what the court in Britain will do? It will release me. Right? It will release me. Is there any law stating specifically कि I should not be arrested without reason? No. ठीक है? No. But is there any principle that the court considers trying to figure out whether I should be kept in custody or not? Of course. And the principle is my innocence. If there is no reason for my arrest, I should not be kept in prison. Right? So this particular principle that I should not be in prison if I have not committed something wrong, even if it is not mentioned in the Act of Parliament, what will the court in Britain do? Unless and until it is prohibited specifically by a law, court will say ye arrest galat hai. I'll take you back again into the example. If I am arrested without any reason, and there is no law saying I cannot be arrested without any reason. Okay, there is no law saying that I cannot be arrested without reason. Does it mean that I will be kept in custody? No. Why? Because a principle has been accepted in Britain that I will not be kept in custody without any reason. Okay. Tomorrow if the British Parliament comes up with the law and says that British police has the power to keep someone in custody for a week, okay, then it is a different thing. Then the British court will not go against the law. But if there is no law with respect to something as fundamental as me being kept in prison for without reason, me being kept in prison despite not having reason, so even if there is no law which assures my release, British court will still release me. And this is because British courts believe in certain fundamental principles, even if those fundamental principles are not part of law, any law. Okay. So first and foremost, what I said, in unwritten constitution, with respect to unwritten constitution, what do we see? Ki you don't need a common place or you don't need a common law book where you extract the fundamental principles from various sources and keep it together. If your fundamental principles are in different sources or are part of different legal documents, are a part of different laws, even then it is okay. Having those fundamental principles is necessary. Having them on one piece of paper or one piece of book is not necessary. So you can have a constitution without having the book called constitution. Another thing is, even if a particular principle is accepted, even if a particular principle is ingrained by the society or the nation, and even if it is not part of any single law, but we feel, this is something that we accept. even then you can say that particular principle is part of the constitution. You can say that particular principle is the part of the constitution. Alright, so in the countries that have unwritten constitution, fundamental principles that are accepted becomes important than having the book of constitution itself. Other thing remember is those particular principles in most of the cases are accepted to be constitutional values or ideas when they are approved through a particular law of the parliament or decision of the court. For example, I should not be arrested without reason. This is the principle that is accepted. But once decision on it comes from the court, it is certified कि भाई this is a constitutional idea. Then it becomes certified. ठीक है, then it becomes certified कि this is a constitutional idea. ठीक है. In a way, what we have seen is unwritten constitution as such. The idea of unwritten constitution as such is not bad. It has its own positives. What are the positives? First positive you can say is evolution of constitutional ideas become easy. Evolution of constitutional ideas become easy. When I say evolution of constitutional ideas become easy, that means accepting a new idea or adjusting an old idea with a new aspects becomes easy. ठीक है, देखो, Constitution is an organic document. Constitution of any country has to be an organic document. Constitution क्यों लाया गया है? So that the society can be governed in the proper way. Fundamental principles that govern the society, ना, तो society can be governed in the proper way. Is it necessary that always the ideas or principles that govern the country will be static? For example, our constitution was adopted in 1950, right? So way in which the society was in 1950, is it today? No. Our societal values have changed. The way in which we look to government and the way in which government looks to people has changed, right? In 1950s, we did not have the idea of something called as right to privacy. Alright, right to privacy was, or right to free and compulsory education. We wanted it to be implemented, but we were not in the circumstances for it to be implemented, right? So what we did was, we did not make it a fundamental right. Fundamental right अगर बना देते तो government will have to give it compulsorily, but we did not have the money to do it, right? We did not have the money to do it. Hence what we did was, we waited for our time. Once the time came when we could afford free and compulsory education for everyone, what we did? We gave it. We made it a fundamental right. And we gave it to everyone. What does it mean? It means there was the change in the way in which we looked at a certain aspect. With respect to free and compulsory education, we felt that it is a good aspect, it is a good idea, but we were not in the position to implement that idea. On the other hand, in 2004 or 2002, we came to a stage where we said, yes, this is a good idea and we can implement it. So what happened? There was change in our point of view because of social economic reasons. So as social economic reasons changed, as social economic values change, what also changes? Our point of view towards a certain aspect, towards a certain constitutional provision. Okay? We want it to be changed. We want it to be consolidated with the new idea associated with it. Alright, as I told you, we did not consider right to privacy so important in 1950? ठीक है. Now what has happened? Supreme Court has said कि right to life also includes right to privacy. मतलब मेरे घर में आके कोई नहीं बोलेगा कि भाई ये तू क्या कर रहा है. ठीक है. So I have with me right to do whatever I want to in my personal zone. That is right to privacy. ठीक है ना. That is right to privacy. Now this particular concept, this particular change in attitude can be easily integrated in unwritten constitution. Written constitution में what will happen? We'll have to create, we'll have to amend the constitution, which is a lengthy process. All right, and sometimes even a contagious process. But with respect to unwritten constitution, once society starts accepting that idea, or society starts consolidating the old idea with something new, it is considered कि हाँ ठीक है, we have in a way produced a new constitutional principle. We have in a way produced a new constitutional principle. All right, which can be brought into law books by simple act of parliament. Amendment of the constitution, important topic we will learn. ठीक है. Amendment of the constitution, which is a lengthy process, not needed. ठीक है. तो evolution of constitution and constitutional ideas becomes easy with respect to unwritten constitution. All right. What is the problem though with unwritten constitution? Problem with unwritten constitution is you do not get a written guarantee. Government can become dictatorial. Very easily by changing the act of parliament, which again is not so difficult, especially in a democracy where the government has majority in parliament. Act बनाने के लिए, to make an act or to amend an act or to completely delete an act, what you need? Basically a majority in the parliament. Suppose tomorrow Britain decides, the Parliament of Britain, the ruling party of Britain decides, Britain will no longer be a democracy, and they pass an act with respect to it in the parliament. Because they have a majority, they can do so. Rishi Sunak tomorrow says कि we are not a democracy anymore. ठीक है, we are not a democracy anymore, and to give effect to his thoughts, he brings a bill in the parliament which is passed by the parliament. Alright, which is passed by the parliament. What will happen? Britain will no longer remain a democracy. Simple majority तो चाहिए. ठीक है, which he already has. He can do so. He can therefore do so whatever he wants with that majority. There is no assurance. Alright, there is no written assurance na कि Britain will remain parliamentary democracy. There is no assurance. So that is the biggest problem of unwritten constitution. Alright, that is the biggest problem of unwritten constitution. Assurance नहीं है, written assurance नहीं है. Hence you cannot definitely ask from the government what you feel is your right. You cannot definitely ask from the government what you feel is your right. One more problem with unwritten constitution is unwritten constitution may in itself may not be clear as to what principles it believes in, what constitutional principles it believes in. Take it. There can be a stage where a particular community in Britain accepts a particular principle. In the same way, there can be a community in Britain that accepts another principle, or a principle that is contradictory to the first one. Right? It can happen. वो हो सकता है, बिल्कुल हो सकता है. Now, which principle does Britain believe in? Which principle in actuality does Britain believe in? Which basically is the fundamental principle that forms the part of Britain's constitutional idea. It will only be clear when the parliament steps in. Otherwise, it will be otherwise it will be a mist. It will be a mist, पता नहीं क्या है. And parliament may or may not come to the stage where it feels it is compelled to actually from public forum announce or declare which idea is actually the constitutional idea, which idea is actually a fundamental principle. ठीक है? So certainty is something that is missing in terms of acknowledging whether a particular idea is part of constitutional principles or not, is part of fundamental principles that are in a larger way part of constitution or not. Unwritten constitution का देख लिया. Now written constitution, what are the advantages, disadvantages? There are advantages. First and foremost, cannot be changed easily. So there is certainty. ठीक है? There is certainty with respect to our constitution. Other thing with respect to written constitution is we are guaranteed with certain aspects of principles that are provided to us. For example, right to life is written. Nobody can deny it. कोई नहीं पूछ सकता किधर लिखा है दिखाओ. It is written. So there is greater amount of protection available to Indian citizens than the British citizens when it comes to their right of life. All right, right to life. It is also difficult for someone to take away or change the constitutional values. To change the constitutional values. Not easy at all. ठीक है? Changing constitutional values or principles in India requires constitutional amendment, which in itself is a lengthy procedure. It requires lot of persuasion, lot of debate, lot of deliberation, lot of brainstorming, and then what happens is constitutional amendment, if at all, change in constitutional principles, if at all, will happen. Process is even difficult in United States. So what it gives is, it gives stability, it gives certainty, it gives stability. It also gives an assurance to the citizens कि भाई, these are the rights that I have and these are the rights that I will exercise. It also gives assurance with respect to governmental agencies कि where their boundaries start and end. ठीक है? Governmental agencies, especially the three organs of the government, that is legislative, executive and judiciary, in written constitution they have better clarity in what area they have to perform. It is very difficult in unwritten constitution. वहाँ पे they work on the basis of what has been happening since the past. History के basis पे they work. This is the area of judiciary, ठीक है, judiciary will work in this area. This is the area of legislature will work in this area. ठीक है? Written constitution में what happens is, you for sure know, not for sure, ठीक है, you to a large extent know in which area you will be addressing, which areas you will be addressing, and that is very important. ठीक है? At least having that clarity is important for good coordination, and also for good check and balance. What written constitution also tends to do is, it does not allow one organ to become all the more, one organ to be the most powerful organ and become dictatorial. Written constitutions avoids that. written constitution, especially written constitutions of democracy, avoid them. In Britain what we see, parliament is all powerful. जैसे मैंने बोला ना, parliament tomorrow can do anything in Britain. Why? Written में कुछ नहीं है ना कि what parliament can do and cannot do. Everything is in principles. यहाँ पे we have in writing, parliament can do this, parliament cannot do this. Most of the things. ऐसा नहीं है हर लिस्ट ही बना, most of the things. Alright friends. So here we will stop. Alright, here we will stop for the day. What we will do tomorrow is, we will look tomorrow into the Indian Constitution. Alright, we will tomorrow look into Indian Constitution. And while looking into the Indian Constitution, now we will also take into consideration other concepts related to overall constitution and constitutionalism. For example, when we look into Indian Constitution today, we will tomorrow study or we will have a glance of Indian Constitution being federal constitution. So when we talk about federal constitution, we will talk about also something that is unitary constitution. Even though India is not unitary, but because we are studying one aspect, that is federal constitution, we will also study other aspect. Even if we have not adopted it, we will look into it because UPSC may ask you question on it. ठीक है? Thank you so much for being part of this discussion. It was amazing. If there are any doubts, if there are any issues, let me know. We will discuss. Thank you. Bye and enjoy studying.